And we're live on YouTube. And I got some stuff to talk about because I have a lot of clients and we have been discussing now. I was just on my course page. So the course page is where I cover keto, omnivore with plants, and keto carnivore and low carb high fat. And a lot of you guys are having issues with energy and with hair falling out and with constipation. And are we live? I don't think we're live. I don't. Oh, we are. Almost had a heart attack. You guys, let me know where you're from. There we go. I keep forgetting on what's up. I keep forgetting on YouTube. It takes a couple seconds for people to come through and see the notification that I've gone live. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Olga. I'll use you my first 5 minutes to make sure everything's going well. I'm like, I was like, oh no, it's on private because there's a private setting. Okay. So I just got done as Olga is on my course page. So I'm going to be covering some subjects that I've already covered before. So what's up? Where you guys from? Okay. We got Illinois in the house. Illinois. Vox. Okay. We got, let me see here. We got Bree from San Francisco and Toronto. Okay. So just got the notification. Yay. All right. Don't forget, you guys, to like up this stream. New Jersey in the house, in Chicago. Okay. So I think what's going on with these like diets of any diet is they never tell you to the pitfalls and the things to be careful of. So they give you this impression that it's so easy, and it's not. No diet is easy, especially if your body becomes acclimatized to a certain type of way, and your body literally becomes even addicted to things that that's not good for the body. To switch over to another diet is so hard. And I'm already getting some weird. We got Poland in the house. Awesome. So essentially it's this. I realize that it is my sort of the footprint that I want to leave in this world is to not just tell you guys what you want to hear, but maybe what you need to hear, as in the equipment to live in this world with any type of sanity right now. I'm just saying, I do a lot of research on a lot of stuff, and the subject of the locked door. The locked door is really huge in my head, and I feel like a lot of people are misinformed. And what I've done over the years, I think that we should all question life. So I'm always behooved that people might just turn on the TV and just watch stuff all day long and just believe the first thing that they hear, because for me, it's connected to everything, right? Jobs, how you raise your kids, education, food, and people will get their, even like trends and music. People just sort of follow the status quo and they never question anything and they believe everything that they hear. And so people entering like ketogenic, omnivore diet, oh, New Zealand, awesome, or carnivore, they make everything seem so easy. And trust me, it is not easy at all. It is not. And my chair is very squeaky, sorry. And it really bugs me that people get, hey, Deborah. It really bothers me that a lot of people get so much misinformation, and they'll just challenge me. Well, I heard, or like they'll tell me, I've been doing keto for 12 years nonstop with no refeeds, and people will tell me how to do keto, and I'll be like, I mean, all the time. So now we have carnivore. And let's see here. Hold on 1 second. What's really great is because I'm on my computer, I can block stupid comments. So this David is gone. Bye, David. Don't love you. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the point. The only balls that I'm busting are my horses his nuts were cut off. So that's the only ball busting I'm doing is the non-balls. So I love it. He was blocked. I love it. Okay, so here we go. When it comes to carnivore diets, there's many things that are never talked about, and I'm going to talk about it, right? Number one, you can't eat beef until you're full. That's just stupid. People who've got binge eating disorders will do that. People who try to do beef and intermittent fast will binge, right? Nobody's factoring in their filtration. Nobody's testing their filtration, their kidney filtration, their liver enzymes. Nope, nobody's testing that. They're just going in hardcore in, especially on poor quality meats. They're jamming it down. They've already got issues with their biliary system. They already have chronic dehydration, and boom, they start having kidney pain on eating a bunch of meat. Eat until you can't eat anymore. Now, what's those two sisters? I can't remember what they're called. What are they called? The ones who do carnivore? They were on the doctor's show. Aren't they eating rice now or something? No, not rice. I'm sorry. That's what I tell people to eat. Aren't they eating carbs now because they lost their menstrual cycle or they can never get it back? It's what, oops, I'm sitting on my chair. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly the stuff that I'm talking about. Exactly. Angie's like, yep. Let me put her comment and highlight just to show. Oops, wrong person. About my fats experiments. It's awesome. I've always kept my electrolytes on point. Okay. No, this one is this is Angie's comment. I can't intermittent fast because I binge. I mean, we're not talking quantum physics here. Quantum mechanics. I don't understand. And here's where I sound so sarcastic, because Sarah and I are talking about carnivore yogi doing some stuff together, and I'll be like, you'll be good cop, I'll be bad cop. I'll be the ones that everybody loves to hate, and she'll be the one that everybody loves to love. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. Boom. Strong sisters. That's Stephanie. Up. Okay, read that. All right. Hi, Lynette. So if you guys have questions, feel free to ask at any time as well. But so I wanted to talk about, things like your menstrual cycle, going bye-bye, and, going to perimenopause, and men's testosterone being downregulated, kidney pain on carnivore diets, people doing keto with friggin' chocolate and almond flour and cheese and just absolute garbage food. And people are getting sick off of it. And that's what I don't understand. Like, don't believe everything that you hear, not even from me, but at least I'll give you something that is contrary to the status quo and what you typically hear from everyone, hyping things, selling products. And it really, really, really ruins people. Like this keto chow, I mean, absolute garbage, a bunch of chlorides in it. Nobody's talking about people's kidney function when taking this junk. What you guys need to do is try to go as natural as possible before you have to start turning into any type of supplementation. And that's where the problem lies. So let's see, we got more comments down here. The strong sisters have lost their cycle before carnivore. Doesn't matter. They should have. It doesn't matter. And that's what I said. It doesn't matter if they lost their cycle before carnivore. You shouldn't be in your 20s and not have a cycle. So the diet didn't fix them, did it? So, but they had a bunch of autoimmune reactions to eating carbs, and now they're going to go back to carbs because their cycle's gone, and nobody's giving them any proper advice. What kind of carbs are going to go on? Were you doing eat as much protein as you can? Were you trying to do a ketogenic version of carnivore? Were you timing out your meals? What were you doing? Like, it's crazy. What a cat said something. I missed it. They eat carbish. What is that, Julie? I know you're just telling me. I'm just saying, if you're not getting the right information, they'll not right the electrolytes with the right amount of fats. Like if they're having any type of reaction or histamine reaction, do they have a B12 deficiency? Because I'm going to talk about that pernicious anemia. Okay. Like it's crazy stuff that's going on. No carbs whatsoever took away hot flashes. Let's see. Let's see. You just be real. We just need to hear the truth and how it is. Thank you so much, Olga. Thank you. How often do we need to take blood work while doing carnivore? You don't have to do any blood work, really. You can literally just do symptoms unless you have something that's very pressing, like you're fainting, like, your iron is low. You can go and easily check your iron storage. I need a coach. I am very fatigued. I guess fatigue is what you meant. I'm 70 years of age, learning, leaning towards carnivore, which I think the leaning towards carnivore is what's really, really important. Let me take Olga's comment off. Hold on one second. Oh, everybody's comments are coming in now. Okay. Oh, Brad, what is it? Brad Pitt? I took the guy away who was trying to troll. 200 fat makes you, it's not fat that's making you gain weight. It's not 200 grams of fat. It's the fact that your insulin and your A1, your insulin, your blood sugar is not regulated. It's your hormones. It's not the fat. Fat is not a hormone. Well, it is. Well, it helps with hormones, but it's not a hormone. I don't like to talk about the costs of at least consultations on, you can go to my website. It's stephanieperson.com. And I also do a keto course. It's stupid affordable. And that's stephanieperson.com. So I want to talk to you guys about, yes, beef broth without the bones is great, especially for histamine people. So let's go through the list of things that we have to be careful of when all these gurus out there are trying to make these diets easy and they're not. And people get sick, straight up. So hi from Portugal, cool. 4.5 ketones, 80% fasting, glucose, heartburn when fasting. Gary. So I'm going to answer these questions afterwards because people get triggered. Like, I love you, Stephanie, but you just jump around. That's what I do. Jump around. All right, here we go. So I've been studying a couple things. I've been going back to the idea of the MTHFR gene mutation. You can have the double or single gene mutation. Now, I was writing notes on it for my course lesson for my keto people, and I was writing all morning, and I thought I'd talk about it this morning. So I spoke about the mother sucker gene probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and Deborah is typing also how to subscribe to my course page and also do a consultation. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Sherry. Okay, let's see here. Okay, here we go. Sorry, people on the replay, we've got some trolls and I had to get rid of them. I love Cape Town. You know that. I've been to Cape Town many times, twice. All right, so as you can see, I was drawing diagrams for my course page, and I was explaining to you guys about a lot of the reason why you guys aren't doing well is because you are malabsorptive. So you have your small intestinal wall, which has microvilli, and it also has cell receptors for intrinsic factor to let in B12, or this is in the stomach. So in the small intestine, you guys aren't able to get all your micronutrients in, like your vitamin D, E, A, and K, and you become deficient in a lot of the fat-soluble vitamins, plus you're not absorbing minerals, and the homeostasis just goes wonky, and you guys start to have these issues with the thyroid. Plus your fats aren't high enough, and a lot of you guys aren't absorbing the fats because your gallbladder is not functioning properly. So there's all these little systems that matter. So when you're trying to do a ketogenic diet with that's omnivore or a high fat ketogenic diet or even a high protein carnivore diet, people aren't being aware of what's going on. So Julie, was it Piler says, thank you so much for the donation. Who writes, a blood work, do I still need supplements? Let me see if I can see this better if I blow it up. Okay. A blood work, do I still need supplements? It depends on, for example, if you have the MTHFR gene mutation and you're not absorbing B9 and methylfolate, B12, then yes, you might want to get a methylated version of methylfolate B12. If you are having issues with your gallbladder, then yes, you might want to use oxbile salts, or if you have low stomach acid and hypochlorhydria, you might want to do betaine HCl with pepsin over the short term. If you are having problems with intrinsic factor, then you might want to go and take intrinsic factor. If you guys are having problems with your candida overgrowth, then things like monolaurin could be good for the short term, things of this nature. Obviously, magnesium glycinate or malate are more absorbable. How do I donate? Can Julie or can Deborah explain to Kat if she wants to donate how to do? There's like a money symbol, I think, towards the bottom of the live, and you just hit on it, and I think that's how it works. Thank you, the buff carrot. That's hilarious. This comment is, I think it's thank you. See, now I can see things because it's blown up. Let me see. I admire you so much. You have no problem telling it like it is. Thank you. And I appreciate that so much. Was it Fifi? Strange names. Thank you so much. Let's see what Deborah says about how to donate. If you want to, writes, Kat, hit the $sign to hit the right of the field that you type in. It's that simple. Thank you, Deborah. Okay. So you can take monolaurin. Don't take the recommended dose. It's just way too much. It comes with a scooper and all these little beads in it. It's like lauric acid beads, which is antimicrobial, viral. It's really, really awesome. Let me see here what we got. Super sticker donated too. Thank you so much. Or no, super sticker. She wrote Lynette Gale. Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. You must have amazing genetics. No, I've got amazing discipline that helps my genetics through. Because you guys know I'm just soon around the corner from being 53 years of age. What? But no, it's about it's how you take care of your genetics and not your genetics. No, because if you saw my family members, you'd be like, oh, I think you're right, Steph. Egg yolks are a good source of fat, but they're not enough fat. And if you have any types of egg allergy, then they would be a terrible source of fats because you'd be having histamine response. So Kat's turning 53 too. You're never 53. Yeah, soon. Around the corner from being 53. Okay, here we go. So I want to talk to you guys about the MTHFR gene mutation. And essentially, a lot of you guys might be, I think it's called homozygous and heterozygous. That's right, homozygous and heterozygous. And that's the single or double gene mutation. Now, a lot of people are having this gene mutation, which unfortunately leads to a lot of health problems because you have a problem with your methylation pathways. So that's essentially detoxification of the cells and allowing your hormones to function properly, the cells to function properly, your DNA to stay intact. And that's a problem when you guys have been drinking coffee and alcohol and taking pharmaceuticals and not sleeping well and stressful jobs and eating poor quality food and having like antibiotics and all types of injections and all this type of stuff. These are things that put pressure on your DNA. Then if you come with a double or single gene mutation, from either one parent or both parents, then it gets even harder. And that's when you find women who've got like endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, cancers, men who've got prostate issues and thyroid and swelling and histamine and skin issues. And the list goes on with fibromyalgia and all these things. And so if you have leaky gut on top of that, and then you're doing keto or you're doing carnivore or even low carb, high fat, and you guys aren't really disciplined at getting your macros correct or your sleep correct or your hydration correct or your minerals correct, this stuff wrecks you. Like, your hair starts falling out and your thyroid starts reacting. Wonder again. Thank you. You don't have thank you, Wonder again. Thank you so much for the 20 donation. I really appreciate it. I do. I really do. Because when people are spending their hard-earned money, you're spending your hard-earned money, it means that you give a shite about what I'm trying to say. And that means a lot to me. Not the money, but the appreciation of what I'm trying to do with hard-earned money is what I meant. My main source of fat is animal fats. So, for example, people are going online and they're following these gurus and they're like, oh, eat a bunch of fat until blah, blah, blah. And then these girls, their menstrual cycle didn't come back because there are things that you have to consider besides, oh, just go back and have some carbs. That'll work. Well, what if you're still having gut issues and histamine reactions to the carbs that you choose to eat? So, and if your carbs are still too low, you could be having hypoglycemia on that. And hypoglycemia on carnivore could have been a problem why their cycles never came back. There's just things that you have to consider because people aren't doing high-fat ketogenic carnivore versions, or they're having electrolyte issues or histamine issues according on eating mono meats even. I'm nearly 20. Let me read this. Let me see here. I'm nearly 21 and have mast cell disease. Exactly, right? So this is typical of people with MTHFR or having mast cell overactivation, but it's so hard to find fat in the UK. It reacts severely to butter, so don't even bother with that. Sadly, even raw, exactly. Doesn't matter. It's the protein still left over. That's what you're reacting to. So you just got to get it out. My fat trimmings aren't arriving until the 15th. So it's ribs. Is ribs okay for now? I mean, that's all you can do, hon. That's all you can do. I would also try in the short term coconut oil if you don't react to that, just to get some type of medium chain triglyceride up in there that's a saturated fat. It's better than nothing if you don't react to coconuts. So I'm going to take that away. I gotta watch the time because I gotta go see my boy Thunder. So here we go. So MTHFR, it's a pathway and it's where your body has to learn how to methylate, right? So the problem is that a lot of you guys end up having high histamine and high homocysteine levels. Homocysteine is an inflammatory reaction, right? Inflammation in the body when you're not methylating properly. You guys aren't absorbing B9, which is your folate, and you guys are not absorbing B12 through the stomach. And so, yes, is it worse if you have a gene mutation? Yes. But then on top of that, we live like human garbage cans and we destroy our bodies. And we don't eat the right nutrient dense foods, and we're running towards like multivitamins instead of looking for glandulars and real. Even though I'm sponsored, right, I have an affiliate program with Ancestral Supplements. I always say this: it's better off eating real thymus for diamine oxidase production, or which is DAO or diamine oxidase production to take down that histamine so the gut wall can heal. Because even with a single or double gene mutation, if you get that gut wall strong, then you can literally start to fix those symptoms of fibromyalgia, polycystic ovarian syndrome, insulin resistance, menstrual cycle issues, fibroids, men with low testosterone, depression, like inflammatory reactions of the skin, inflamed, swelling, lymphatic issues. All of that can be addressed if you do have the single or double G mutation, and you can get that small intestinal wall fixed, and you can also get these parietal cells in the stomach and get this intrinsic factor release to be able to help. It's a binding protein that'll take a B12 so it can be absorbed within the small intestinal wall. And then the small intestinal wall has to be tight. So there's a lot of little factors. And so things like thymus or kidney will help take that to be able to disperse and bring down that histamine so that wall can heal. And that's why glandulars are so important, and people just aren't considering them, and it's a problem. So let's talk about this problem with absorbing B12. And I start to realize that when you take your carbs away and you're super tired, not only could it be thyroid activation of low T3, or not only could it be hypoglycemia, but now I realize it absolutely can be the lack of absorbing B12. It matters if your B12 is too low or even too high. And blood tests are subjective because it can't see when things are going into the cells. So obviously, if your B12 is high, obviously you're not absorbing the B12. So sitting there taking more supplemental B12 might frack you up, right? Because you can toxic the system by keeping adding and stacking on exogenous vitamins, which can toxify the body. Let's see here. I think you guys have been asking questions. I haven't seen it. Been watching you for a while. Great info. Thank you so much, JR. I can't do thymus. Well, kidney, and yes, try kidney, definitely. And try to get it fresh. You know, even if you guys do glandulars like liver or thymus or thing from ancestral supplements, like put it in the refrigerator because it's still a protein. Bacteria is still going to collect on it. Some people are taking these supplements or having a histamine reaction. You've got who are super bad histamine producers, who might have the double or single, the homozygous and heterozygous, and they've got the double gene plus the MTHFR, the mother sucker gene. What about ghee? Well, ghee in some people, yes, but it's still, you know, use like ghee is like a rendered or cooked butter, and you're trying to get out the proteins people are reacting to. Which have growth factors, which is why people might be reacting to it with this cross reactivity from eating wheat and sugar and damaging the small intestinal wall and developing all these histamine issues and food sensitivities. What could be the cause of what? Wait, let me go back here. Let me see. Thank you so much. I react to plant fats. Okay, so you can't do that. You're just going to have to wait. If you're the person, Chloe, were you the one that talked about getting the ribs? Been on Carnivore for 19 months and never realized that scope of my mast cells. And sometimes people develop worse mast cell issues when they go back to plants, or it just gets worse. So believe it or not, carnivore isn't always the answer. You're going to have to eat less and less and less and less. And that's another thing that people don't talk about. You're eating less and less and less and less, and you're reacting more and more and more and more. So one of the things that people develop things like pernicious anemia, or they develop deep B12 deficiency, is this sensation of like a thick red tongue. And I had a client last week who was talking about her tongue so much. And I was like, try this food and try that food. And then I had another friend, she used to be a client, now she's a friend, and she starts talking about intrinsic factor, and it just led right over to that tongue. Not being able to produce enough intrinsic factor, which helps you produce B12. And if you don't get B12, then you get this weird tongue, and people are doing carnivore and things are getting less and less and less on what they can eat. Magnesium is crazy important. My friend who was doing keto, she had a stroke because she didn't have enough magnesium in her diet. So for me, that's why I started adding avocado to, because people are like, oh, you're having avocado carnivore. And I'm like, I can tolerate avocado. Somebody's like, oh, there's oxalates in it. I was like, no, bro, no. There's not a lot of oxalates in avocado, if at all. Exactly. So wait, what's the makeup addict says? What's this? That's me eating less on carnivore and reacting more. So that's why, like when you do carnivore and here's the thing, y'all, I got to say this is really important before I'm going to show some videos too and some things. Here's the thing. You're stressed out. You do carnivore, right? You develop hypoglycemia. You don't eat enough fat because everybody's like, I'm gaining weight when I eat fat. Like, stop caring about your freaking weight and start worrying about the disease. Trevor Never, right? Trevor Never. Start worrying about disease that you have and deficiencies and health issues and hormonal issues and thyroid issues, because people, if you have mast cell disease, Jose, I'll talk about the symptoms, Sanchez, in a minute. Um, Start worrying about your if you don't have enough electrolytes, right? If you're not having enough electrolytes on carnivore, and then all of a sudden you're crashing all the time, you're crashing, having heart palps, you have low energy, you don't have enough potassium, and then all of a sudden you're dehydrated, the body's under stress, the homocysteine goes up, right? Or your C-reactive protein goes up. Your body's under this like inflammatory reaction, and all of a sudden now that gut wall is even, it was already permeable, and now it was like this, now it's like this, and now you react to everything because people aren't thinking about the accoutrements, like everything outside of the plate. They're like, eat as much meat as possible, there's enough sodium in there and potassium. No, there is not, people, not when you have leaky gut. It's just like we have to be more practical and more intelligent and more aware. People want to do things really fast. They don't want to think about, do you have unstable blood sugar before you do a carnivore ketogenic diet, right? What is your sleep like, right? Or do you have a night job? Do you skip meals? Are you fasting, which is destroying your immune system, right? So let's address things. You can take thymus and kidney for your diamine oxidase, lacking of diamine oxidase production within the small intestinal wall, which will help you take down that histamine, right? Because if your histamine is not being, is able to disperse and go down, and you're running high inflammatory reaction all the time, that gut wall can't shut. So gut wall can't shut. You have intrinsic factor that's going out the door. You're not absorbing your B12. And now your symptoms get worse on carnivore, or they get worse on keto. I wonder why people jump off these diets and it's not working, and why the standard American diet ends up working better for them. I mean, nobody's talking about that, right? So intrinsic factors of protein, and it binds to B12, so it can be into an intrinsic factor receptor site, so you can absorb it and get some freaking energy, right? Because what happens is people are like, oh, do fasting and bulletproof coffee. Now, what if you have an intrinsic factor issue and you can't absorb B12, and then you're exhausted with hypoglycemia and thyroid, and then you fast? How dumb is that? Why aren't people talking about this stuff? And I'm not even trying to sound like a jerk, even though I do. I'm just shocked sometimes, and I'm just thinking out loud, and people catch that side of it in a live stream. So Deborah's talking about how magnesium's so good because it eliminated her migraines. A lot of people have migraines and they don't realize that just something as simple as magnesium glycinate or malate will help with these really energy, Lynette, dude, energy. Okay, so let's see here. Thank you, the buff carrot. Yeah, it's more passion, you guys. I live by myself, as you can see. I'm really chill. But I get triggered, I think, a little bit when I read stuff and I hear stuff. And I have so many consultations with people who are sick. I mean, I had a guy yesterday, he was sensitive to everything. And it wasn't until this morning, until I did the deep dive on intrinsic factor, which people are downregulated through stress. Bye. Coffee, intrinsic factor. Guy. So I want to show a video, since I'm able to do that. I got this carnivore yogi right now. She's hitting me up. Let's see here, how to supplement with intrinsic factor. So I'm just doing the deep dive on it. I think you can literally go on Amazon and order it. But what I think the best thing to do to get your intrinsic factor to get going is get your stress down and sleep and eat the right foods in the right amounts and the right timing, and don't fast and drink enough water. And I believe that all of these systems will start working on their own. Coffee, I'm going to do a whole coffee thing. Coffee is the worst for you. Wow, do they lie about this billion, if not trillion-dollar business that protects their investment. And all these people are drinking the Kool-Aid coffee thinking that it's good for you. It just shocks me, right? It shocks me. What's coffee going to do to the lining of your stomach, urine, and the intrinsic factor, which I believe is coming from the parietal cells? I can't with it. So I'm going to go, hold on, you guys. I'm going to go to a video here. And I just want to play for you just a minute or two on a thing called pernicious anemia that a lot of people have, especially on these diets, especially women who are already iron anemic, and then you're not absorbing your B12. And let her just talk about, right? Exactly, Olga. You tell him. Oh, for tyrosine, was it phenylalanine? Or what is that? L-tyrosine? Yes. It's they say it helps, but I mean it does. I am not sure. People say that it does. I'm not really sure. Addicted to coffee, just love the flavor. Going. I mean, Amanda, health, addiction. Got to choose one or the other. Decaf has, I think it's called benzoyl chloride, which is very, very toxic, damaging, cancer-causing chemical. Natural, guys, just be strong. Come on, guys. Let's see here. I want to play this video. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I got to get to it first, right? Let's see here. So I'm just learning how to use StreamYard. Oh, okay, hold on one sec. Go. And here we go.
Review over pernicious anemia. This video is part of an NCLEX review series over hematology. So if you're studying that material, be sure to check out those videos. What I want to be doing in this video is I want to be covering the patho, how it's diagnosed, the signs and symptoms, and the nursing interventions for pernicious anemia. And as always, over here on the side or in the description below, you can access the quiz and the notes. So let's get started. First, let's start out talking about what is pernicious anemia. Pernicious anemia is a form of vitamin B12 deficiency anemia that is an autoimmune condition where the body does not produce enough intrinsic factor. And intrinsic factor plays a huge role in how your GI system absorbs vitamin B12. So let's talk about the pathophysiology. Okay, your body needs vitamin B12 to make healthy red blood cells. And red blood cells play a big role in carrying oxygen through your body to your organs and your tissues. So if you don't have enough red blood cells, you're going to have anemia. There's various forms of anemia. Previous video, we talked about iron deficiency anemia. So what happens? You have low amounts of oxygen going through that blood, and the body suffers because it doesn't like that. So what happens is that your nervous system and your cardiac system are really hurt by this. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. Now, what is intrinsic factor? Intrinsic factor is a protein that helps your body absorb vitamin B12. So what happens is that intrinsic factor is a protein. You take vitamin B12 in through food. That's only how you can get it. Your body does not produce vitamin B12. So you eat some foods with vitamin B12. Intrinsic factor protein gets that vitamin B12 and releases it into the gastric secretions to be absorbed. And your parietal cells is what is responsible in your gut for producing this intrinsic factor. And vitamin B12 is mainly absorbed by your ileum in your stomach. So in pernicious anemia, what happens, it's an autoimmune condition. So what happens is that the body starts to produce antibodies that attack those parietal cells. So they become attacked, they can't do their job and release intrinsic factor. So you don't absorb enough vitamin B12 and you get low levels, and then you start making these really unhealthy red blood cells. So why does this happen? The total cause is unknown. However, it can be genetic and run in families. And the elderly can have an issue with this. I know.
All right, guys. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Okay. So I wanted to get rid of her because she doesn't know. Here's a person who doesn't understand leaky gut and histamine. She was just explaining to you guys that intrinsic factor. And so basically what helps you absorb B12 through the stomach, and that's going to help your red blood cell count and give you energy. So a lot of you guys are exhausted all the time. You might have pernicious anemia and have no clue. And so she's talking about absorbing. How you absorb it is that intrinsic factor has to get absorbed, right? Your body, your stomach's going to release it. It has to be absorbed into the bloodstream for you. And it's a binding protein to get absorbed within the stomach. That's what it is. And so a lot of you guys who have MTHFR clearly have this issue. People who've got leaky gut. So that's from, like I said, alcohol, smoking, caffeine, stress, not sleeping. Your hydrochloric acid goes down, and boom, you can't absorb. You're not having enough intrinsic factor and hydrochloric acid with pepsin to absorb the B12. And this is what happens if people do these diets, right? They go and do like the carnivore diet, they do the keto diet, and they think it's the cure-all. And all of a sudden they start developing worse symptoms because they're doing this diet, right? And they're not getting enough fat in. So they're not ketogenic. Then they're in this gluconeogenic state of stress. The body's super stressed out. And all of a sudden, cortisol goes up, gastric juices, that once the hydrochloric acid begins to drop and you develop hypochlorhydria, so goes out the intrinsic factor that helps you to absorb B12 in the stomach. And this is the stuff not being talked about on the keto omnivore nor on keto carnivore. And that's why it's not working for a lot of people who are super ass tired doing these diets. And if you're not absorbing B12, what's going to happen to your already low T3? Then the thyroid and the hair starts falling out like this. What happens to your sex hormones? And women are going into premenopause or perimenopause, or men are testosterone's dropping. People are exhausted. Their hair's falling out. So I just wanted to cover the things that could go wrong on these diets. And there's a lot more that you consider. And the solution would be go to bed early. Make sure that you eat high fat and you rotate your meats, right? Don't eat leftovers because that's an inflammatory response. Inflammation, adrenals, and then we start to have cortisol, and that affects your hydrochloric acids, your ability to absorb certain foods. Don't do the bulletproof coffee and do keto or carnivore. It's the dumbest idea ever if you want to get rid of your intrinsic factor and drop your hydrochloric acid, because the acidity of coffee is so bad for the mucus lining of the stomach and the small intestinal wall. You have metformin, type 2 diabetes, and lowers of B12. Yes, that too. How many people are on metformin who are insulin resistant, type 1 or type 2 diabetes, or people who are polycystic ovarian syndrome, and the doctors are recommending that you take metformin like it's Tic Tacs? I read that right. Let me make sure I read it right because I'm reading things really fast. Liver. Yeah. Okay. So liver. Also, you need vitamin C. So intrinsic factor is vitamin C, right? Liver. It's also, we need the B12 and B9. So we've got folate and we've got B9 to be able to deal with at least the MTHFR and also be able to absorb your B12, right? But you can have an MTHFR single or double G mutation and live fine if you can keep that gut wall strong, in the small intestine. And you have to work on your foods and don't eat a bunch of protein, because if you have a problem to filtrate that protein, because your liver's working under what it should, because your electrolytes are fracked up, because you guys are hemorrhaging water via the kidneys, and you're not balancing your electrolytes between the sodium and potassium, magnesium, and calcium, and you guys are like running to take vitamin D for the calcium, and instead of getting out in the sun and eating high rich foods in D, and also people are not considering getting in things like fish bone calcium, if you can tolerate fish bones, or at least fish bones or chicken bones, or even for the short-term eggshell bone calcium to get your D in, and to help regulate the thyroid, and the vitamin C for the thyroid, for the T3 to get into the cells, of the vitamin C for the gene mutation, or to get in your B12. So you've got liver that covers it all. Then we've got thymus and kidney that helps with the inflammatory reaction of histamine, which is DAO, which also helps seal that wall so you don't react to a gene mutation, right? The gene mutation has no bearing on you because you've done all this other stuff to seal that gut wall. So those are things that I want you guys to consider. Let's see here. I'm not sharing my screen anymore. I forgot. Anyways, thank you everyone for this live stream. Don't forget to hit as you guys see, I'm doing a lot of this research here. This was also for my course page because I'm writing a whole course lesson on it. On Monday, I write a huge course lesson. So go to stephanieperson.com if you guys want to get just free content. Stay right here. Comment below what you'd like to see me talk about in the future in terms of anything. This stuff, exercise, like, how to balance your hormones without taking HRTs, TRT, anything that's hormone related. Even the progesterone cream is going to mess up that gut and make it so it's hard for that B12 to get into the cells. If the gut biome, the microbiome, that you're hit this level of candida and small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which does not seal up the gut wall, which then you cannot absolutely unequivocally have a difficult time with getting enough intrinsic factor going on and getting your hydrochloric acids in balance. When one thing's out of whack, they're all out of whack. When you're doing these diets, you can make it worse unless you learn more. Don't listen to anybody saying that it's easy. Don't do keto or carnivore for weight loss. Do it to heal your body. Do it to heal your gut. Do it to heal your hormones, your depression, your anxiety. That's the reason why you should do these things and get your inflammation down. Olga, chamomile tea is fine if you don't have a histamine reaction to it. And fatty tea is fat in a tea. It's pretty simple. Let me see. Meat broth has higher levels of potassium. And is that enough? I don't know. It depends on the strength of your gut wall to balance with sodium. In nature, we would never be eating 4,700 milligrams of potassium. That would literally just blow you up, give you heart palps. Taking supplemental electrolytes, don't do keto, chow. These things can make you have the tingling fingers, which is another part of the pernicious anemia, symptoms of tingling hands and feet. If you guys have that, or Raynaud's disorder from too high cortisol. And when you do these diets and you're not in ketosis, which is why anybody doing a carnivore should do a high fat ketogenic version of it. And if you can tolerate an avocado, don't be a carnivore snob. Eat it so you don't get sick and get a stroke or a heart attack like my friend got a stroke from not getting enough magnesium. You cannot play with your electrolytes when the heart doesn't get enough oxygen. This is for real, people. Sorry to sound sarcastic. I'm going to go to my boy Thunder right now. Love you guys all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Frank. Everybody should be working on their leaky gut and their histamine response and their inflammatory reactions within the body. Thank you. And I'm out. You can go to stephanieperson.com to sign up for consultations. The calendar will be not reopened. It's full booked. I have a couple of people waiting to go in, but the whole calendar will open up. So if you find yourself not being able to book, just send me an email on the waiting list and I'll get you in sooner than the average person because you've emailed me directly at stephanieperson.com. And yes, I've worked with people with I pretty much work with everybody. When you work with this many thousands of people over the years, you definitely hit every single person who's got high B12 or people who've got weird things like hemochromatosis and all types of weird ailments and lupus and all types of weird stuff that a lot of people don't have, multiple sclerosis and diabetics up the wazoo. Those are almost the easy ones to deal with at this point. And some cancer people, but I'm not a cancer specialist. I'm not a specialist to anything. I just use common sense and I get my data from all the people that I've worked with over the years, which is thousands. And I'm pretty much carnivore except for an avocado because I want to be safe with potassium and the electrolyte balance. You cannot mess with that. Your heart, your cardiovascular systems, you cannot mess with that, especially with your red blood cells and your white blood cells, which thymus is so good for your white blood cell count. You guys, instead of saying be safe, just be smart. You know what I mean? Just be smart and get some vitamin D. Don't be stuck inside and turn off the television and research and learn more about your body. Woo! And get in on the liver if you don't have a histamine reaction to it. Don't be a liver snob like, oh my God, I can't, because you don't really understand that as you get older, the best way to protect yourself is to protect your DNA and give it the right tools. And I'm out. My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic and my Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business, as in the business person, for free content, or right here on YouTube, or you can join my course page or have a consultation. And pretty soon, Sarah and I are going to do an update on what's going on with her and just have a girl chat on all this kind of stuff when it comes to hormones, men, you too, and women, what happens under your hormones doing a carnivore diet the wrong way, because everyone makes it sound so glamorous, and it's not. It is, when you guys are willing to learn as much as you can, and stay humble, stay real, and stay strong. And I'm out. Bye, guys. I've got some energy, and almost 53, solid 12 years, made mistakes. I'm learning them, and hope you guys too. And I'm out. Don't forget to like, up, and subscribe by hitting the notification bell.